Foreword by the editor. Wait, don't skip me. I know it's against book writing protocol to put the foreword after the first chapter, and I can't tell you how much grief my editor has given me trying to move the thing, but I have a couple of things to say which have no impact whatsoever on Jack Logan's story, but which I still think need to be said. If you, dear reader, are anything like me, you immediately skip over the foreword in most books, for fear of some spoilers managing to slip in. Pro tip, this story doesn't have a happy ending. Or maybe I'm lying, who knows? We're only one chapter in, after all. So I'm hoping you'll actually read this if I put it here. If you read that sentence, then my theory is a success. Or maybe you always read the foreword, you sad, strange English major type reader. This isn't Ryan Roper writing. Not that last chapter, not this little foreword, none of the subsequent however many pages that are left. I know it says his name on the cover, but he didn't write a single chapter of this book. I did all of that. Ben Kopczynski. Go me. And for that, I got my name in a tiny font on the dust jacket. Ryan got the cover because he had the ideas. Jack, Brian, Colette, and all the wonder and mystery to come were conceived in his mind. He constructed the story, the setting, everything that you'll remember, and everything that you'll complain they didn't put into the television miniseries, which isn't a thing yet, but if you TV people feel like making money and giving me money, give me a call. That's all I really wanted you to know, giving credit where it's due and all that. The next few pages are just talking about how the book came to exist and me waxing poetic on the nature of fiction. Feel free to skip forward to chapter 2 anytime that you're feeling bored. I know that forewords tend to have that effect. Alternatively, if you're trying to fall asleep or writing a paper on metafiction in the near future, continue. I think that the media in general, and Hollywood in particular, are really trying to sell the idea that every fictional story has a story of its own. Mostly, I think that's a load of crap. It gives paparazzi and third-rate journalists a way to make money. The truth is a lot simpler and a lot scarier. Everything and everyone has a story. I invite you to think for just a second. Consider all of your most intimate dreams, current or discarded, all the times hurt by someone not taking them seriously, or worse, actively trying to keep you from reaching them. Your first crush, the love of your life, the first time you held a child in your arms and wondered what it could do with its life, the breakup, the first time death really touched you, those fears that can't be rationalized or dispelled. Everything horrible and wonderful that makes you, you. That makes you unique and special. Then try to comprehend the fact that every person has something like that inside them as well. A hope, a fear, a world, a story. Everyone. That's why I avoid cities. It's too much. I'm too curious. I want to know everything and everyone. I want to hear every story, and I'm overwhelmed. So if you want to find some drama to enjoy from afar, don't look to Hollywood. Just go people watching. Invest in binoculars. And now, of course, I get to the part where I contradict everything I just said and claim that the story behind this story is a must-hear piece worthy of making Chapter 2 wait. Back in my early days of high school, I fell in love twice. Once with a girl, then again with the internet. Online chat rooms in particular. That's where I met Ryan. He was pretending to be a girl, and I was pretending that I wasn't lonely. We got talking, he liked the way I turned some of my phrases, and so we kept meeting up. I wish that I could tell you that I deduced his gender for myself, but no such luck. He told me his name when he told me about the Black Notebook project, and asked if I would be willing to write it. I have to congratulate Ryan on always knowing his strengths as well as his weaknesses. He knew that he didn't have the stylistic chops to write a book that anyone would want to read, so he found me. He wrote me a quickie synopsis of the first couple chapters, 7 paragraphs. I think the file is still saved on my parents' PC. I dedicated 2 solid weeks to making them the best that I had to give. Mom, Dad, and all my high school teachers, yes, that's the reason my sophomore exams were what they were. I look to present my work to Ryan, as proud of anything as I have ever been. I mailed it to the address he'd given me. And then nothing. He was gone, without a trace. Disappointment doesn't begin to cover it. I wanted his approval, sure, but more than that, I wanted the story. Already I'd gotten attached to these characters I couldn't claim, and I had the thirst for a story that I couldn't finish. So I kept writing, made up a story of my own, characters of my own, something that could have spun out from those first few chapters. My first real creative project. and in my egotistical opinion, it was alright. Not winning any awards, but it was a page-turner if my friends are to be believed. 2 weeks before I graduated from Westosha Central High School, I found an email signed by Ryan Roper. Attached were my first 4 chapters, torn to shreds by his criticism, with a note to revise if I wanted to hear how the story continued. And I did. And so we established our pattern. I'd write my heart out, he'd slash it apart, I'd do it again. 6 years we continued. I went to college, got 2 degrees, and entered the workforce at minimum wage. Every day I was desperate to push further, to hear how the story ends, to show the world the sum of our work. But it was never enough for him, so we kept working. But the soul of the story had changed. I'd corrupted it with my own creative efforts. Proud as I was of my own work, I tried to incorporate elements of it into Ryan's tale. Some I hid well, a joke so inside only I could laugh at it. Others Ryan was so enraged to find he nearly walked, repeatedly. But I calmed him, edited the parts which irked him, and we kept going. I learned something very important in that time. This book you hold in your hands, it isn't fiction, not to Ryan Roper. He believes it is his duty, his responsibility, to not only see the story told, but told right, for the sake of the reputations and honor of all the characters involved. He slipped a few times, though, when we've messaged about it, spoken of the characters as if he knew them personally, of places as if he'd actually been there. Only recently did I actually push him on the subject, and he responded by claiming that I was right, that the story is very real to him, that the characters and plot lines aren't his any more than they are mine, that everything he knew of Jack and his story came from the black notebook itself, which had fallen into Ryan's possession. My apologies for the spoilers, but this book was not placed on the fantasy shelf of your bookstore because it's such a fantastic read. It may not have pushed past the bounds of reality yet, but I can assure you that this is not a story that could be true, so long as we believe the magic and the monsters of our world are only in our minds. I insist now, and will insist ever, that Ryan Roper is a man possessing of a creative genius the human race is blessed to behold. But I'm also quite certain that he's mad. I suppose it's also possible that the world is more fantastic than many of us are willing to believe. And I suppose it's possible that he's conning me to make the story more interesting for you. It wouldn't be beyond him, and goodness knows he's been lying since the moment that I met him. The crux of it is, Ryan Roper is a mystery, even to me. More than 10 years now since I first tried to seduce him, and I have never seen his face, and he has told me outright that Roper is not his true name. He refuses to deal with the press, or with publishers, or with any editor besides me, and he is positively terrified of fame. So please, if you somehow manage to discover who Ryan Roper is, keep it to yourself. And now on with your regularly scheduled chapter of the Black Notebook Project.